Welcome back to Island Bike Life. Today we're in the heart of central Vancouver Island in the historic town of Port Alberni. Nestled at the base of the Alberni Valley, I had a chance to sit down and learn more about Twin City Brewing and the riders of Alberni Valley.
My name is Aaron Coline, and I am the owner and the brewer for Twin City Brewing Company.
My name is Matt Banis, and I am president of the local mountain bike club Row, or Riders of Alberni Valley.
I was going to university, and I was actually doing my undergraduate to go to med school, and I was doing a degree in microbiology, and I really just got sidetracked by all these breweries were popping up. They were doing all these really cool, new, interesting beers, and I loved the idea of kind of the mix of like the craft versus the science, and it's a little bit of everything that goes into this industry, and I was just really interested in it, first of all, just from a scientific perspective, and I decided that I was going to try making beer at home. This space used to be Lucky Printers, an old print and stationery shop in Port Alberni. Everyone knew of this place. It was an institution. Every business would come here to get their letterhead made or to pick up pens or whatever, notebooks, notepads, and so it was kind of cool that, growing up, it was a place that I knew of, and when it was available, we had to check it out and realize that the layout, the shipping area in the back, the retail area in the front, it was just this perfect building for a brewery. It took a long time. I think it was about 4 years to open, but we opened them in March of last year. Things have been really exciting, and they move very fast now that we're open. We've had to add a patio to add more seating. We're doing almost, a new beer almost every 2 weeks, trying to keep things fresh and interesting. And of course, we have a full kitchen, and they're doing some really amazing stuff there too.
It's amazing. We started off essentially last summer there with a group of a handful of us that had grown up here, riding, building, kind of doing the maintenance, and kind of had been passed down the torch from the guys that had built all these trails here, and said to run with it, see what we can do. We're up to about 40 members in our association now inside of less than a year. Build days on weekends. It's exciting. There's a lot of things to come. Currently we have about 50 kilometers of trails spanned over around 40 trails in our riding area.
With deep roots in the community, things are going strong for both organizations.
We do have 4 staples, our core beer, that are always around. You should be able to get those anytime you come in. And then on top of that, we're doing seasonals. So the beers that are always here, we have our Swedish Gymnast, which is a hoppy blonde ale. Basically, it's called a Swedish Gymnast because it is a light blonde with a lot of hops. We have our Tickety Boo. Tickety Boo is our British pale ale. It's kind of different than a lot of the West Coast pale ales you see that are more hop forward, more kind of restrained when it comes to malt flavor and stuff like that. Our Tickety Boo has got caramel and toffee and a lot of those strong, like biscuity British flavors in a beer that's not sweet. It's still a dry beer. It's something you can sit down and have a couple of. It's a sessionable British ale, really. And we made that to really contrast what a lot of people are doing on the West Coast or in the Pacific Northwest in general when it comes to beer. Everyone's, hoppy is really being pushed forward. So that was one of the beers we decided, to balance things out, we would do that. We also have our Porter Alberni, which is our dark, roasty porter with a lot of like vanilla, coffee, chocolate kind of flavor to it. And that one's been quite a big hit. And then the final beer we have is Run of the Mill, which is our IPA, which is an India Pale Ale. Basically, every brewery's doing an IPA. You got to do an IPA. So, we had some fun with that and figured, well, this is going to be the run-of-the-mill IPA, but it's nothing but, nothing really like that. It's, big blasts of citrus, pine, grapefruit kind of flavors in a 7% beer that's still light and pretty dry as well.
We're hoping to establish ourselves back on the map. Anyone who's been around on the island for years, the ride will admit, like Port Alberni before Cumberland, before anywhere else, was the place to be for riding on the Sundays, and you'd have hundreds of people show up to our candy store parking lot to do shuttles or cross country. Kind of want to get back to that stage, get back on the Island Cup, build relationships with landowners, Ministry of Forests, Pink Bike Trail Forks, just to expand.
The proper partnership between the brewery and the riding club is we want that kind of almost home base feel. When people go out riding trails and they spend a day and they do that kind of stuff, they want somewhere to decompress and debrief afterwards. And I'd love this space to be that kind of a a spot.
And in the last 2 years, it's bumped back up. We've got to have around 60 to 75 people that are out on the trails daily on the weekends. Events-wise, we've been working, trying to do things with like Parks and Rec, skills clinics, get kids out, younger generation, and just promote being outdoors and enjoying what we have to offer here.
The last few years have been a whirlwind of growth and expansion for both of these progressive community partners. With robust backgrounds, the future is looking bright as they focus on the community first.
Yeah, I mean, I think we learned a lot from Cumberland. Actually, you brought up Cumberland. Darren and Mike definitely instilled a lot of their beliefs in us. And one of those is definitely distribution. We're not interested in shipping beer across BC. We love the freedom that it allows us to have beer here on tap and in a few other local places. Yeah, one of the things like you have to know about Port Alberni if you're coming here as a visitor is that this town has a lot of history. I mean, even Twin City Brewing, the name, comes from the history of Port Alberni. And basically, before 1967, we had two municipalities in this area. We had Port Alberni over by the water over there, and Alberni over here. And there was actually kind of almost a rivalry. You had a lot of mill supervisors, mill management living on that side, and then you had a lot of blue collar over here. And there was a little bit of this rift between the community. And basically, in 1964, we had a tsunami. It actually was caused by an earthquake in Alaska, sent a tidal wave up the canal, and wiped out the town. And it forced the community to have to, band together. There was cleanup efforts. There was a law that had to do with, getting the city back on track. And in '67, they voted to amalgamate and become one. How do we make people stop? How do we make people spend time here? Because they're going right through, a lot of people, but how do you make them stop? And we've created a place, I believe, that is for local people, for the local community. We want them to support us, and we want to do every decision we make is for their benefit. Are they going to have a better experience next time they come in? And it's all about those people that live here. And we figure that, if the people that live here support us and love what we're doing, then that will automatically bleed out into the people that are passing through. Because if someone comes through town and they ask, hey, where's a good place to stop? We want the locals to recommend us. And we want to be supported by the locals. And if tourists decide to pop in and see what all the fuss is about, then that's great.
Thanks for checking out this showcase on Twin City Brewing. If you like what I'm doing here, think about hitting both the subscribe and the like buttons. Leave me a comment down below. Come and find me on Instagram. And as always, let's go hit the trails.